is the Conservative Colonel Podcast with Harrison Daws, where one man stands against the rising tide of liberalism. This officer in the battle to preserve our nation is the Conservative Colonel.
Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
And here's Harrison Daws.
Welcome back to the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Daws, joined by Graves Baker today. Finally was able to con Graves on coming back on the show. I had to pay him a lot of money, so y'all give him a warm welcome. I am cooking alive this episode. And one of the things that has saddened me, but also gives me great pride, is I know this is going to be a great episode. But when me and Graves get on the show, we talk for like an hour and 30. And we've already talked for an hour and 30. So I'm getting cooked alive in my house where there's no air conditioning. It is 82 degrees. I have one ceiling fan on, and I'm away from the coolest area in the house. So I'm sweating severely. And as I said, we've already been talking. I've already went through 2 bottles of water trying to stay cool. And we do have a time limit. I do have someone coming by to work on my house, so we'll see how long we can go for. But, I mean, there's so much to get caught up on. I'm so happy to have Graves back, honestly. I wanted to pick with him a bit, but he's going to be kind of catching us up on some things. I know these last couple of weeks in politics has just been chaotic. So we're going to kind of give you the Reader's Digest this episode and kind of cover a lot of stuff. We're going to cover the Trump assassination. I promised that I would do an episode focused on it when it happened. And I wanted to bring Graves on for it. And so it's going to be partly that. We're going to talk about Vice President Harris, who, if you didn't listen to the last episode, wants to take away your Second Amendment rights. I just want to throw that out there. And also Joe Biden, kind of really anything that pops up in our head at this point. I think Graves is going to do a great job here today. I'm going to be more in a supporting role. I just want to maybe ask a question and give my opinion once or twice. But since I was out of touch these past couple weeks with, getting robbed, I'm going to let Graves come in and tell us. But before we dive into it, I do want to remind everybody that we release a new episode every Thursday. Most of the time, we try our best. But the release schedule is either Thursday or Friday at this point. This episode will be, of course, is out today, Thursday. But you can check us out on our main platform, Spreaker. But we're also on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music and Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. Now, if you would like the video format of today's show, you can see Graves' lovely background, just absolutely rubbing it in my face that he has just this gorgeous background. You can check us out.
And it's not fake.
No, it's not a fake. Mine looks fake, but that's actually a brick wall behind me. But if you want to see the video format of the show, we release that on Tuesdays on Rumble and YouTube. All of it, the Conservative Colonel Podcast. And, of course, you can figure out more at conservativecolonel.com. And I have been working on a T-shirt store for the Conservative Colonel Podcast. It's just got our logo stuff right now. I don't think it's even on the website yet. That sounds about right. No, it's not. Our people who get in the video format of the show just got a wild surprise because I misclicked.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened either. I
was
thought
switching
somebody
back.
else was joining.
I was switching back between the Conservative Colonel Podcast website and the StreamYard, the software we use to record the podcast, and I clicked the wrong button. But yeah, conservativecolonel.com. I will try to get it connected to the Conservative Colonel Podcast store, which will be on Bonfire. So I'm hoping to add some custom designs in there, some political quotes, maybe a picture of Joe Biden falling down some stairs. Who knows? You just kind of tell us what we want. I'll design it, and let's get this rolling. I would really like to see it, mainly just to promote episodes and get the good word of conservatism out to more people. That's honestly what I'd be using the money for. So if you want to support us there, you can. If not, I'm not your dad, so I'm not going to force you. But Graves, with that,
I get a free T-shirt, right?
I don't get a free T-shirt.
Oh, okay, never mind that.
let me tell you my prices right now. So you can get a lovely hoodie for $40, or you can get a T-shirt for $26.99, and another T-shirt for $24.99. I wish I could get one for free. I'd love to get that hoodie for free. But
yeah, you need to.
Bonfire was like, you have to pay for your own product, and I was like, well, that sucks. They are printed on demand. That was the contract I kind of signed with them. That keeps any cost down for me that I would have to put up, and it helps them out. So it would take a long time for any of you to get the product, but hopefully it will speed up the more we use them. Bonfires are great websites. They allow us to sell any T-shirts or hoodies, even a hippie shirt. There's an actual name to that I'm forgetting, but ever since I was a child, I just called that a hippie shirt.
The tie-dye?
Tie-dye, yes, tie-dye.
Yeah.
So you can get a Conservative Colonel podcast tie-dye if you ask me. I'll put it on there. But yeah, no, it comes in gray for us Ole Miss fans, navy blue, baby blue, powder blue, green, red. It comes in all good, great colors. But I think I've covered everything I need to promote. So
some good promotions there. They should start spending their money.
Yeah, I hope so. Honestly. But thank you all you guys for the support. Please share the episode out. Leave a 5-star review. And check us out on your podcatcher's choice. But without further ado, because he knows I can talk, because I've been talking poor Graves' ear off. I feel so bad for him. He hasn't got a lot of words in the past hour, so I'm going to let him have the rest of the show. So you go ahead, Graves.
Well, I don't know if I can take up the entire show by myself. But no, I did want to start with the whole Trump assassination thing. I was in Georgia. We had been doing a lot of doors there. We did 112,000 doors knocked in a month. And, it was just a normal Saturday at that time. I was taking a nap because I worked from 8 to midnight, 8 in the morning to midnight. So I was taking a nap in the afternoon, and I wake up to my phone having about 30 texts, 20 missed calls, if not more, telling me that Trump got shot. And, at first I'd just woken up, so I didn't really grasp it at the moment. But then, when I checked the internet, Twitter, anything, and then, got sent the picture of him with his fist up in the air and blood running down the side of his face. I was like, that really just happened. And, people were saying that you sounded emotional after that. I was definitely emotional. Because I've seen what they've been doing for the past 9 years, all the stops they've taken out to try to stop him. And now they, maybe not they, but someone tried to kill him. And you were going to say something?
Well, it's just a thought, and you can disagree with me if you want. Of course, that's the loveliness of the First Amendment, free speech. The liberals, honestly, they've been asking for this for years. They've compared Trump to Hitler, of all people. Hitler, maybe the most evil man to walk the face of the earth. Definitely one of the more famous evil people. They compare him to Hitler, call all of us Hitler supporters, and compare us basically to the worst of the worst. Talk down to us, say we're destroying democracy. We're not a democracy, by the way.
Nope.
and that we just want to destroy everything and build up a tyrannical America. And that's nothing farther from the truth, of course, but they've been pushing this hate. They've been selling it. They've been promoting it. They've been approving of it. And I'm not going to ask you to talk about this, Graves, because I think I would want to talk to you about it privately first, just to hear all your thoughts on it. But, they supported the 2020 riots. And then the January 6th riot, they completely just were like, y'all did this. And I was like, yeah, y'all did it for 6 months a while back too. I didn't support any of the riots. I thought I just didn't like any of them. But they supported it, approved of it, bailed people out of it. And now they're shocked this happens. No, I don't believe it. I think, honestly, some of them were counting on it, like our good senator from Mississippi, or no, representative from Mississippi.
Benny Thompson.
Yeah, saying that next time maybe don't miss. I'm so disappointed in my state. Honestly, I feel, and I've never said that before because I'm never disappointed. I love Mississippi through all its faults, shortcomings, and great achievements. I'm there. But our representative's a piece of crap. Wanted a guy to, just because he disagreed with him, to die. But that's all I wanted to add to that. It's just crazy.
It is. I mean, and Benny was in charge of his second impeachment. So, and the discovery as well. So, he's been on that side. He hasn't done anything in 32 years. But, going back to the Trump assassination thing, like you said, they've pushed this rhetoric for so long that's about violence. I mean, you got Maxine Waters saying, get in the face of people and tell them they're not welcome anymore. Obviously, the Hitler thing. I mean, so many different Democratic congressmen, congresswomen, even in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden. I hate Hakeem Jeffries. He's terrible. And he's the worst. He still talks about fascism and stuff. Speaking of that, Tim Walz did not help. He called Trump a fascist after he got shot. But just back to the assassination, there were so many lapses in security there that, to me, at this point, it's like, okay, why was he having meetings right next to the FBI building in D.C.? And someone was flying to meet him from Massachusetts. He had 9 different phones. Secret Service, they knew about the threat, did nothing about it. They even told the Secret Service sniper not to take a shot. Local police, the FBI. Oh, that's the funny part. The FBI said that Secret Service were on the top of that building, but said it was too hot outside. So they went inside the building, and somehow the shooter just gets right above them. They're on the 2nd floor, and he's up on the roof, and they had no idea. I mean, there's more than just that, but, just to give you some food for thought, that's the beginning of, all of that. Purposely putting a woman who was way shorter than Trump. That chick was probably like 5'6" at the most, and he's 6'3". They purposely put her there. I also saw a video. I can't confirm if this is why it happened, but 20 seconds before the shots were fired, behind the stage, there was, press people or VIP people or whatever. Secret Service on both sides, left and right of Trump, are moving those people toward the front. Like, they're telling them to move, and then the shots start firing off. I think, I'm not going to say it was an inside job, but I'm just saying,
looking sketchy.
Something's not right.
One of my favorites is, for those who don't know, and I might have talked about this on my Getting Robbed episode.
Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I just remembered one more thing. That happened July 13th. July 12th, they arrest a Pakistani national who was literally arrested for involving people in a plot to kill Donald Trump. It just came out yesterday.
What?
And July 12th, he was getting on a plane to leave the country. And then July 13th, the day after he's arrested, that happened. I forgot about that in the initial spiel I did, but when I thought it, I was like, no, I got to say it now.
I mean, this is an interesting talking point because either the Democrats broke a poor man into doing this, or there's something here that's even more sketchy. And honestly, I could see both playing out. But honestly,
Yeah.
What you're saying is scary. I mean, there is a lot of coincidences. Going back to what one of my thoughts, but I was trained in self-defense by an ex-Marine. He's probably why I didn't lose my cool when I was getting robbed. I was able to, keep focus and get a escaped convict out of my yard. But he broke down that girl you're talking about that's like 5'3", and he was like, if you look at her, she is obviously very new at this game, he said.
Yes.
She was letting her adrenaline control her, and he did it a lot better. He broke it down a lot better. He's a trained professional. After all, he's a Marine. He's studied self-defense. He trains cops. He trains people getting ready to go into the military. Great man. And he's probably one of the best self-defense instructors out there. And he broke it down. She couldn't get her gun back in her holster.
I saw that.
Because she was so pumped up on adrenaline, she couldn't. It does a weird thing to you in a life or death situation. Speaking from recently close experience, I didn't really have it during that point, but afterwards, where I realized, I came like this close from getting shot.
What just happened? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next day, Trump is this close from dying. I mean, that was an awful week for both of us. But, it does a weird thing to you, adrenaline. And if you don't control it, if you're not trained to, and I'm not singling her out because she's a woman. I know the liberal viewers that are starting to watch this, hi y'all, by the way, are going to try to say that. I don't care, man or woman. There's only two options that join the Secret Service, but adequate training is required. If you cannot pass the bar, you shouldn't be a lawyer. If you can't pass the bar of being a Secret Service agent.
Kamala Harris failed the bar the first time. I just had to. I'm sorry.
that was just perfectly timed.
For those who are watching the video, you understand.
Oh my gosh, y'all! Normally, I prefer y'all watch the podcast because that's what I want this to be, as a podcast. But I wanted us to be different and have a video format of the show as well. But if you'll go to 18 minutes into this video and skip to 20 seconds. You will get to see one of the funniest things I've seen this week is just Graves lean up to the mic. Harris failed the bar, and just lean back and have this big grin on his face. It actually threw me for a loop. But if you can't pass the training, then you shouldn't be one. Yeah. We have seen in recent years women join the military and proven themselves. But now I feel like, and I think it's a tricky subject to talk about, but I've been canceled twice already. But now you're having forced, where people who might not meet the standard are being let in. And I think that's why what's the title called? Director of the Secret Service?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and she's no longer director of the Secret Service.
Right.
She failed at her job and let people in. She was trying to be inclusive, but she did it at the cost of a man's life, almost a man's life. Trump came inches away from death.
Yeah.
And
maybe less than inches, actually.
Yeah, maybe less than inches. I mean, if it was honestly by the grace of God, he didn't die that day, because if the assassin would have pulled the gun just a minute sooner or a second sooner, Trump would be dead. Mm-hmm. He turned his head. I think they showed a clip of it at the Republican National Convention where he turned his head.
Bullets traveling
just in the nick of time.
it would have been like this, but since he turned his head like this, it went and caught his ear.
And so that's all I got to say about that is Trump was not being protected by the best.
The local police department from there even came out after, I don't know, maybe a week and a half and said that some of the agents that were around my dog is scratching herself. It's making my phone move. But some of the agents that were around him, huh?
You mean the llama?
Yeah, the llama.
We'll have to explain that on another episode.
Right. But that some of the agents around the stage were not actually Secret Service. So I wonder if that woman may not have been Secret Service. Because that's the local police department saying that. I don't know if it was their chief or whatever, but somebody from their department said that.
And that has to be a bit scary. You have people whose job is to guard the president, but then you realize that's not their job. That's some other probably agency, you would think, maybe. If they're not with the Secret Service, though, who could they be with?
Yeah, because maybe it was just like at Ole Miss they have those security people around the football field what if it was someone like that? Just the Cobra security. That's what.
Yeah, the people that let me rush the field back in my day.
Yeah, or tear down the goalpost.
Neither confirm or deny if I was a part of that. Because I was in high school.
Well, I got not arrested. Jesus, that was not.
That's about to escalate.
I did not get arrested. I was grounded by my mom the week we beat Alabama and the goalpost came down. So I wasn't allowed to be there. I had to watch it on TV.
Oh, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, because Batesville's like 25 minutes away from campus. So,
I forgot you lived in Batesville.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Oh, yeah, no, I was there. I rushed the field. And the funny thing is he probably don't care, but my father gave me permission. He was like, go rush the field, man. This is a moment.
Yeah.
While most parents were holding kids back, my dad was like, go, boy, go. I looked behind me, and then my dad's jumping down. And I was like, oh, yeah, there it is. Me and my dad getting escorted off the Vaught Hemingway field.
Right.
And maybe participating in one of the goals. But, it could have been anyone. And we don't have confirmation. This investigation that Joe has sanctioned, I don't
trust it.
I have as much faith in that as I do tap water in New York. Again, another backstory that we will have to get into at one point if we ever have just a relaxed episode of this where there's just no political news happening. But
yeah.
I don't trust it. It's one of those things, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's in the same vein as the government saying 3 times they're going to investigate the Kennedy assassination. Like, okay, one of the times corrupt investigators. Second time I can't remember, and then the third time was like the Congress making a committee to investigate it. If it takes 3 times to do an investigation right, something was sketchy. And I feel like this is what's going to be this in a couple of years. We're going to have multiple people being like, okay, something's not right here.
Yeah. I mean, there's already people doing that just because of what's come out that I, mentioned a little bit ago. There's really so many different things about it that just don't make sense. And I mean, he flew a drone over the area like an hour before it started, and then they see him walking around, then they other people see him climbing the ladder up to the building, and
no one says a word.
Yeah.
I took a date to the Grove at midnight one time, and I still had campus police corner me up like I was about to commit like an act of crime. Like they cornered me up like I was a hardened criminal, years in prison. They're asking me all these questions. Like, I'm just trying to take my girlfriend on a date, man.
Yeah.
And if I can't do that on a campus, which, security is needed, but if I can't do that on a college campus, why is he getting to do that with a former president, someone running for presidential office again? That's even crazier. You had someone who was a former leader of this country and potential future leader, more likely, hopefully, future leader of this country almost died. And the Secret Service, we haven't really heard much from them other than their director having to step down. Has the FBI given an update other than this?
Well, at first Christopher Wray, when he got questioned about it, was saying that they didn't know if he got hit by a bullet or glass or shrapnel. And then the next day, the deputy director comes in there and he was like, no, we have no doubt that he was shot by a bullet. And so why is Christopher Wray not resigning for lying to Congress? It just, I'd be in jail. I signed that affidavit about what I saw at the 2020 election. If I was lying about that, the court didn't take it up. But if I was lying about that, I'd be in jail for years. He gets to lie to Congress as the FBI director, and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, Congress, from what our founder said, is supposed to be the most powerful branch.
Right.
They are supposed to be the people that get things done. Recent years, we know that's not true, but sadly, that's how it's supposed to be. So they do a lot of investigations now for clickbait, almost trying to make sure they get elected again. But
yeah, well, we don't support this, even though we've talked about violence for years.
Yeah, and they don't condemn this guy for lying to Congress. And, for example, we talked about this with the lawyer. The lawyer said two things under oath. Once there's balloons now for anybody watching the virtual stream. I hope you enjoyed
what
that.
Happened?
There's a weird GIF thing on StreamYard that I can't turn off. That if I do certain
did somebody
things,
donate that or did
no, but watch this. I have fireworks behind me now, like I'm singing Katy Perry songs.
I'm sorry, everybody, but that just cracked me up. I did not expect that to happen at all.
So, what the heck was I talking about? You have two. Let's see if I get balloons again. You had two things that Trump's former lawyer said. One's a truth and one's a lie. One was said either to Congress or to a court of law, both under oath. And nothing's happened to him. No one's gone after him for perjury. No one said, maybe we should investigate this. He doesn't seem like an honest man. If you lie under oath as a lawyer, you could be disbarred. If you lie under oath in a serious investigation, you can get in severe trouble, if I'm not mistaken. But these people get to do it to Congress, to courts, and nothing happens. Why is that? That's an interesting question. And I don't trust them trusting or doing a great investigation. Google's already trying to hide everything. So for those who don't know, I was looking for a thumbnail right before we started filming. I was looking for the one with, Trump with the blood on his hand, fist in the air. I was like, you know what, that's going to be the special thumbnail. I don't do special thumbnails often. I like my logo. It's a great logo. But I wanted it for this episode because there's a lot of stuff we wanted to talk about in this episode, one being the Trump assassination attempt. And I Googled that, looking for one of the pictures because I've seen it before. Nothing on the Trump assassination popped up. I had to look for these pictures. This is an attempted assassination of a former president, and I couldn't find anything at first. You actually have to look for it, and we know our generation. If you have to look for something, most people aren't going to go find it, and Google knows that. And you want to talk about media for a minute on the Trump assassination attempt?
Yeah.
Downplaying it?
Right.
Oh, my gosh, that fired me up. Oh, you were talking about they didn't know if a bullet hit him. They were saying he staged it. You know, Maybe it didn't touch him. Maybe it was glass.
Three
You know,
people in the crowd, 2 had to go to the hospital for wounds. One was critical. He ended up surviving. You have another one that got out after a couple days, and then one who got shot in the head and died. But he staged it.
Yeah, he staged it. Trump wanted that to happen. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's crazy, just the notion of that.
It's like you know everybody on the left and everybody in the media loved him before he ran for president. And it's like they brainwash people so much that even the older people that are Democrats or liberals, socialists, communists, whatever they are, forgot who he really was before he ran for president. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's always been this way. But 20 years ago, they didn't think of him that way.
No, it's because Trump is one of those rare, and I do mean rare, conservatives that is massively rich.
Yeah.
I mean, most conservatives are probably middle class.
Mm-hmm.
We're working people. That's why we get things done. Now, had to throw that in there.
Except for Congress.
Except for Congress. Those are rhinos. They don't count as conservatives.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started on that. The show was founded on the fact that I really wanted to talk some crap about Mitch McConnell and other rhinos. But, you know, most people who are conservative thinking either are middle class, lower class, very few high class. So Trump was from that world where he got to see a lot of these liberals, a lot of these socialists, and they treated him with respect because it was Donald Trump. I remember the saying of, I want to be Donald Trump rich. I want to be like Donald Trump. That was all sayings that were pushed by media and Hollywood. I remember Donald Trump appeared on an episode of Will Smith's Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
He
was in Home Alone too.
Yeah. And it was always like he was taking jabs at himself, having a great time, laughing with everybody. No one cared until he started calling them out for their hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
Rich people always want to tell the middle class and poor people that it's the rich people's fault that they're like this, but not us.
Right.
There's only one high class. There's only one rich class. Either it's y'all or it's not y'all. You can't have it both ways, Hollywood. But and Trump then came in and said, "Oh yeah, no, some of us are scumbags." And I remember Trump versus Hillary Clinton debate where she's like, "He's used tax evasion tactics."
I was about to just say that.
And Trump turned around with the best line I've ever heard. If you want to take it from here.
Well, you know, he just said, "Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do your donors. They use the same tax code, their tax cheats that I use." And, you know, and then everybody started booing, and he was like, well.
That's honestly, Trump outed the fake conservatives. He outed liberals. He outed the rich. That's why the media hates him. That's why Hollywood hates him. Trump is bringing so many people to what real conservatism is. Me and you talked about this. Like I told people all the time, you know, me and Trump have disagreed on some things. Not me and him personally, but on some of the things he's done. But I think he's a great man, a great president. And I think, honestly, he is one of the few people that can lead us out of the hole we are in right now because I've seen him do it. He knows what he's up against. He's from that world, but he's not of that world, if that makes sense. He's rich. He's had swing, but he also knows about the other people, the people that are probably not known to common Americans as the people that honestly are hurting this country. And that's why I trust Trump to lead. That's why I voted for Trump in 2020. That's why I'm going to vote for Trump again in 2024. And I know Trump's going to win in 2024. That's why I've spent a good portion of my episodes talking about Trump. I believe in Donald Trump.
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
I'm also, you know, obviously a huge Trump guy. That's why we were working for him before he got assassinated. But, you know, I think what happened in 2016, Democrats were saying he was an illegitimate president, which is a lot of what happened in 2020 is what they're saying Donald Trump is saying about Joe Biden and how he's a threat to democracy because he's saying that. But in 2016, they said it. They tried propaganda in 2016 with the whole Russia thing. Hillary Clinton could not get over the top. So in 2020, they did propaganda, impeachments, and they did the mail-in ballots. And this may get us canceled here, but what I saw, I'm pretty sure they cheated. Because look at what happened in Venezuela this year with the election. The same thing happened. The red is winning, the blue is just under, and then boop, and then they stay on top. Maduro's a socialist, by the way, and that's what the Democrats are trying to bring here. They did it in 2020. Now in 2024, not only are they doing propaganda and they're going to try to cheat again, but they replaced their own candidate without giving a single vote to their new candidate, and she picked somebody. Don't even get me started on what I found out on Tim Walz.
We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah. But, 2016, they did certain things. They lost. 2020, they did certain things. They won because of it. They got away with it. Now they're doing even more in 2024 because Joe Biden's a vegetable.
Yeah. And I mean, let's not even talk about the illegal immigration situation. I sent you a video on how many illegal immigrants are getting the ability to vote in this election.
Yeah, driver's license, and that's identification.
And I mean, they're doing it in states that are trying to crack down on this, and it's super scary. And registering them to vote, I have a feeling it's happening in Mississippi. We talked about that a good couple episodes ago.
We've got plenty of illegal, people in Mississippi from different countries.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to come here legally. By all means, I love Mississippi. I think it's the best state. I'm a bit biased. Actually, I'm very biased, but I want you to come enjoy what I've enjoyed for so long. I love Mississippi. Jackson's falling apart, but the rest of the state's doing pretty decent.
Yeah, like your episode, Jackson, Mississippi hates Jackson.
Yeah. I decided I was going to get pissed at Jackson for a while, and that's basically the whole episode. But yeah, like, it's not that we don't want them. We want them here legally, and I understand. I have friends who are immigrants, and they've told me our system needs updating. Our system needs changing. It's pretty hard on an immigrant to come here. We agree. We agree. We want to change it. But first, we have to enforce what we have so we can focus on changing it, because we can't let just anybody in. And I know that's a hard reality to accept because it sounds bad. It sounds selfish. It sounds like we don't want people here. We do. The only people who are honestly natives are the Native Americans. We are all immigrants. I'm Irish. I'm Scottish. I came here. My family came here to North Carolina in the 1740s. I mean, I'm descendants of immigrants. Now, I'm not going to obviously claim I know their struggle now. I wouldn't do that to my friends who have heard some of the stuff they've went through. But we have to stop. We have to build the wall. And there's my cancel moment for the show. You're welcome. Good night. But we need to protect what we have. If you want to come in here, and by all means, if you really just think a socialist is the best way, I can't agree with you. And I honestly think in a couple of years, you'll agree with me that limited government is the way to go. But you have that right as a legal citizen of the United States of America to vote with your best heart, to vote with your best intentions. Don't let people buy your vote. But they're trying to steal the election, and it just pisses me off. It feels like that's all they do.
Other than Kamala's rallies, they're hiding her. She's not doing town halls or interviews. She's not doing what Trump's doing and going on podcasts. She's even on her website, she has no policy platform on there. And you can go to her website. She has nothing on there about what she wants to do. All it is Trump is bad, orange man this, orange man that. That's all that they have. And now they're like, oh, well, she's a young black woman. She was elected as the first Indian senator. So now she's black. What if she's both? Okay, then why was she not the first Indian black senator? No, they just said Indian. So, and
I don't
okay,
care
look, her
what
dad
she
was,
is, just pick one.
yeah.
Or you can be both, but
she
don't
grew up.
promote it.
Yeah, I mean, she grew up. Why should we elect somebody just because of their race or their
It's
gender?
stupid.
You know,
It's stupid.
that's why I can't say that. I
Oh,
can't say that.
this episode's going to get rough. But I mean, I agree with you. It's stupid that so many people. Oh, I want to vote for her because she's a woman. I want to vote for her because she's black. I want to vote for her because she's an Indian. I want to vote for her because she's an Indian black. It's stupid either way you look at it. I don't vote for Donald Trump because I like his hair. I mean, what? I don't vote for Donald Trump because he's a man. I vote for Donald Trump because I can agree with the majority of his principles. I think he's a great man. I think he's a great president, and I think he can do
what he
great
did.
things.
You know, the economy, we averaged less than 2% inflation, and 1%. You need to have inflation, but 1% over, year over year is exactly the perfect what you want. I believe his is 1.7, and that's including the pandemic, which is why they want to say Joe Biden, because of Trump's spending during the pandemic, that's why Joe got the inflation. No, inflation was at like 2.1% the day he came into office, or maybe 2.3, and then it went up at the highest to 7.8 or something like that. The
7.8, yeah.
consumer price index, which is really what you want to take into account, not just an inflation, but how much are we spending compared to wage decrease or increase and interest rates. You take all that together, the CPI was it was higher than when Jimmy Carter was in office. So really, we had an economic downturn worse than when Carter was in office under Biden, but they're still blaming it on Trump.
It's because they can't live with their own failure.
Yeah.
Still a line from one of my favorite movies. But, Biden economics have obviously been awful. I don't think Biden understands what he's doing. I don't think that was ever Biden's forte was economics. Every president's good at something. Some presidents are great with handling political disasters, other countries, foreign affairs, being an open presence to the American people, being a leader. Trump is great at economics and being a leader. He shines lights. He can fix the economy.
His foreign policy work.
Oh, yeah. And his foreign policy was really, really impressive. You really don't see someone who can be usually a jack of all trades as well as Trump is.
Mm-hmm.
I give him very much a big deal of credit for all that. I mean, massive work. We didn't have any of these problems over there in the Middle East, in which we're going to have to spend a whole other episode on that.
Nor Ukraine, because Ukraine got invaded under both Obama and Biden, but not under Trump. Obama. Yeah, Crimea happened under Obama.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, Graves, what do you want to talk about?
I kind of want to dive into Tim Walz's Kamala Harris ticket.
Perfect. When we get back, we're going to talk about the fraud that is Harris and her VP pick, who I can't even remember his name.
I didn't know who he was until he was on the short list a couple days ago.
I've obviously done a bit of research, but like I sit back and I'm like, where did you come from?
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, and actually we'll talk about this after the commercial break. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Conservative Current Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you're confused because we don't have ads on there. So you just get to see us jump. And I never really realized how weird it looks until I watched an episode on Rumble the other day. And it's like I'm talking and I was like, okay, commercial break. And I pop back in the other direction. It's jarring. I never realized it until I actually watched the video format of the show because obviously I lean heavy towards the audio side. So I've never thought about how it looks on YouTube.
You just got to teleport like six inches over here.
No, yeah, it's weird. Or like you could tell I took off my hat and put it back on. to readjust my hair or something. It's weird, so weird, especially if it's like a 30-minute break, which I've done before, and I come back and I'm like, what am I even talking about? I can't rewind this and figure it out. I didn't write it down. I'm off script. But we don't even have a script today. We're just having a great time talking about the stupidity of politics. And to steal something from Jack from the Right Side Radio podcast, we are living in the dumbest timeline, and that is proof by Vice President Harris, who I want to talk about, and we'll talk about this after we talk about what you want to talk about first, because I want to hear all this. But I want to talk about how dangerous Harris truly is. We'll do that to close the show, but you actually had something you want to talk about when we came back, so go ahead and talk about Vice President Harris and her VP pick.
Yeah, so I won't get into the whole way that Kamala Harris became the nominee, even though their convention hasn't happened yet. But her VP pick, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, this guy, I'm just going to start from when he was younger before he even got into politics. He joined the National Guard at 17. Sounds awesome, right? He's a patriot. He goes to fight for our country. But his first opportunity to actually go to war, he's the highest non-commissioned officer in his whole battalion. And as soon as they get the order to go to Iraq in 2005, the day they're leaving, he quits the military. Completely quits the military. And before that, he was lying about his rank to, I don't know who, but he was lying about his rank. There's the guy that was under him, I guess some type of sergeant or lieutenant or something. In 2018, I think, when he was running for governor, this guy came out and was interviewed saying that Tim Walz, as soon as they were called to go over, he quit, left all of them high and dry. They had to find a new leader of their, platoon. And that after the fact, he lied about his rank when he was in the National Guard, saying that he was higher than he actually was. So, yeah, that stuff come out about him. And then...
Oh, that makes my blood boil. So I come from a family of veterans.
Yeah.
And I take that as one of the most honorable things a man or woman can do in this life is to go fight for one's country, to fight for the belief of freedom, liberties, and the pursuit of happiness, to make sure that we can all sleep at night safely.
Mm-hmm.
To do that and to bail out is bad, very bad. Yeah. It makes my blood boil.
He was the one that trained the platoon, and then as soon as...
And then lied about his rank, trying to get more honor than than you should even be allowed to get. You scumbag.
Yeah.
All right, continue, because my blood's going to boil.
No, I mean, when I heard it too, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is really, I mean, and then when he was in, his first term as governor, the 2020 riots in Minneapolis happened when they burnt half the city down. $150 million worth of damage. 2 people dead in the riots in Minnesota in 2020. And what did he do? Well, first off, let me tell you what his wife said. She said that she could smell the smoke burning from her house. And there's literally a video of her saying this.
Mm-hmm.
She opened the window to let the smoke in and just soaked in the moment of what was happening. Like, she's absolutely insane to soak in the moment of her city burning down that her husband is governor of. And what did Kamala Harris do? Now, this proves they're a great team because the governor let it happen, and then she started a fund to bail them out of jail.
Mm.
So they have ties back in 2020.
Oh, I hate the 2020 riots.
Yeah. And
this man's going to piss me off.
Oh, he's bad. And then he signed a bill. I don't know what year it was. Obviously, it was within these last 2 or 3 years that put tampons in boys' bathrooms, signed a bill to let transgender women that become men, transgender women that were men participate in women's sports, and he signed a bill giving driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. This is the guy that, and he was quoted saying, "One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness." So,
he's perfect for Harris.
Yes, exactly.
They're both socialists, communists.
Yeah.
But
I found out because, again, I didn't know who the guy was before I heard he was on the short list, and even then I didn't look into him.
I never
But
knew
then
who
when I
he
heard
was.
someone just spun tires down here, but when I heard that he was going to be the nominee for vice president, I was like, I'm gonna look into this guy, and so much stuff started coming out about him. Just everybody hammering him, and the liberals are trying to use a picture of him with a shotgun, and he killed like a rabbit or something. And they're like, well, no, he's just a moderate Midwestern, farmer guy. What? Just because you have a shotgun, they were like, he's not going to take away your gun rights, even though he said it, because he has a gun himself. No, he's talking about taking away AR-15s, those types of style guns, not a shotgun, not a pistol.
Which is still protected by the Second Amendment.
Exactly. So, and it doesn't matter what type of gun you're talking about. Oh, he's not going to take my shotgun. He'd probably want to take my shotgun because I got a bullpup 12 gauge. It looks like an AR, but it's not.
He would hate my whole region of Mississippi.
Oh, same here. Look, me and my roommate together. They say the average American has more than one gun when you take in the whole average, and let's just say 2 people live at my house, and there's about 20. So
America, there's a proud tear coming from my eye. Oh, like my one of my uncles was like, my dream is to buy a jet, and we just kind of look at him. He does Second Amendment. It's our constitutional right to blah 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 blah. And he was going on a whole other rampage. And we were just like,
have a tank and everything too.
Yeah, he's one of those, and I'm like, well, it just says arms, never specified.
It doesn't say you can't have a cannon.
No, I want a cannon, Dick Nabbit. I will have a cannon in my front yard, and I will shoot it at your vehicle. Might take me 30 minutes, but I'll shoot it at your vehicle. But and that don't get me on Harris. Harris actually believes in gun confiscation, not willingly giving up your right to bear arms. That's different. If
and
you're
not even a buyback either, just straight up
steal.
Yeah.
I hate how the government has limited our right to bear arms.
Mm-hmm.
And I do understand some of it is a check to make sure wrong people don't get guns the legal way. They'll still get them the illegal way, but at least our legal way can be harder for criminals. That I understand. But we've bared down on civilians, law-abiding citizens that have never done a bad thing in their life to not be able to defend themselves or to have a gun collection or anything like that. The right to bear arms is an essential right that all Americans have. If you want to give it up, that's also your right as an American. That's why we're the freest country in the world. If you want to give away some of your liberties, by all means, you do that. Don't come and tell me to do it. And that's what Harris is doing. She wants to confiscate all our guns. And she said that recently in an interview. This is not like something that dug up a couple of years ago. This year, last month. She said this like right after she was named the nominee. Or no, when she said she was running. Yeah, and
just for any of the newer liberal people that are tuning in, apparently, AR does not stand for assault rifle. That is not. I mean, if we want to put it that way, you could call my Hyundai accent an AR accent because I could assault somebody with that. I mean, what about knives? Are we just going to ban everything and we all just go back to sticks? Because what about an assault pistol? No, it's only, it looks a certain way and they're scared of it. That's what it is. You would not take a 5.56 into the Russia-Ukraine war. You would not do that.
No.
So,
no. It's just people, when gun violence happens and criminals get their hands on guns, people want to stop it, rightfully so. But they always, I've noticed, try to go about doing it the wrong way and then try to make us the bad guys saying we don't care about the lives lost. That's anything but true. But I've dropped it on this show to be funny because I make jokes about my experiences. If you've known me privately or sometimes even on the show, I'll make a joke about nearly anything. If you're at my funeral and I'm dead in there's a chance I slid the preacher a joke or two before I died. That's just the type of man I am. But seriously, when I was robbed, if I didn't have my right to bear arms to protect myself that night, I could have died. He had stolen guns from my house. And again, if I didn't have that right, or my dad didn't, there wouldn't be anything in there, but there also wouldn't be anything stopping him from getting me. And I mean, he was living life high.
Yeah.
If you catch what I'm saying or trying to say without getting the show rated R, I have no doubt that with my back turned and me not knowing that my house had been broken into, that's when I realized I almost died. Is he had his guns out at that moment? My back was turned to him. I was about to get rocked. If I didn't have that right to bear arms and get my pistol and confront him and get him off my land, the show wouldn't be here today. We need to stop punishing civilians, and we're going to get on a whole different topic if we're not careful, namely me.
Well, no, I mean, I do want to say I saw you know who Caitlin Bennett is?
I've heard of
does
that.
interviews, blonde girl. Yeah. She does interviews, people on the street or at campuses.
People on the streets, yeah.
She interviewed this one guy at like a park. Dude was with his girlfriend, and they were talking about the Second Amendment. And he was like, you don't need a 20, 30 round magazine. And she was like, well, why not? And he was like, what? You think more than one person's going to break into your house? She was like, yes, that tends to happen. I mean, you were lucky it is only one person, right? But at the same time, a lot of times it is more than one person. So, and he said, you only need one bullet. And, she was like, so really I only need one bullet. And that's when he brought up the one person thing. And she was like, well, yeah, that tends to happen as more than one person. And he, just kept defending the one bullet thing. She's like, you better be a damn good shot.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a decent shot. I'm a Southerner. I'm a country boy. I was raised with protecting myself and hunting. I'm not a great shot, mind you, but I'm decent. But I guarantee you that there's a reason my clip holds 12.
Yeah, in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, you could accidentally screw up majorly. But, it was a rarity for only one person. And most of that was because he was an escaped convict. He didn't come to actually rob me. He came to steal transportation, find stuff to sell, to try to disappear, steal my clothes. And my very expensive cowboy boots, which I'm honestly still really pissed about. But, and he stole those guns for protection. Now, from what I have read and what I learned in my firearm training class, is that statistically, people who break into house are going in groups of 3, 4. My instructor's house was broken into, an ex-Marine, mind you, and 6 or 8 people were in his house. That's how big of a group of people were in his house.
Yeah.
And, even he was like, well, a pistol ain't going to do it even for me. And he's a Marine. They don't teach him to jump rope there. They teach him how to defend the country. And, he was like, I'm not just keeping my pistol. He's like, he had his pistol on him and his other weapons. I can't remember what they are, so I'm not going to just throw them out there because I know he might listen to the show and give me heck, and I'm just not putting that egg on my face. But he knew what he had to do to protect his family and to protect his 2 kids. It was just – that's just stupid. Yeah, you better be a great good shot to nail someone one time, it be a kill shot or a wound shot.
Because it's like –
what about a warning shot? There are multiple ways a story can goes out. Like I almost gave a warning shot, but he saw me. He knew I was serious, and I didn't feel like at the end of the day he was going to try to do anything because he kept trying to back away and just run away. So I didn't fire a warning shot. I didn't kneecap him. I didn't kill him because he wasn't immediate danger. But what if that scenario turned out different? You can't just go into a scenario without planning for 5 of them.
Right.
And
I think that's something that us as not feminine type males, one thing that we do is we think about every situation. Like, I'm here in this cabin. I've thought about every way somebody could get in here and what I would do in each situation. You know, I mean, no matter where I am, I've thought about those things. I've told my mom what to do if I'm not there and somebody does something. I mean, we, as non-feminine males, that's something that we think about because, we're not just like, oh, everything's so happy and dandy. You never know.
Yeah, the world is not sunshine and rainbows. I told people I was more calm after the confrontation with the man. Like, the cops were like, this is the first time you've been in this amount of days. I was like, I've been robbed a couple times at knife point. Story of my life. And I was like, I felt scared before, yes, but I had training recently and I went through the motions in my head. I knew what to do. I knew how to control the situation. I knew how to do this, that, knew how to breathe, control my adrenaline now. And they were like, you know all that. And I was like, well, yes, sir, Mr. Deputy. It was deputy sheriff because I live in the county. He was like, wow, you're maybe one of the calmest people we've went to. And that's because I have to think of these scenarios because they've always popped in my head. Mm-hmm. And I found the gun trainer for me, that ex-Marine who taught me how to think of multiple scenarios. I have glass doors in this house I'm in right now, and we'll just call it Upper Mississippi. I think I've already said it, but not trying to screw it. It's Oxford. So I have some glass doors that are very easy to break into. So I updated security on them. I added a couple things. But even then, I know that's the weakest point of my house. So, if I hear a door rattling, which we used to have the problem with up here during the winter, the doors would rattle because they were so thin until I got this extra security on them. And I'd go in through the house and check the doors because that's what I would do first. And if I'm not going in through that way, I'm going through the front door. If I'm not going through that way, I'm going through the garage. And if one of those is compromised, I know exactly which one I'm going through to get out first if there's multiple of them. Yeah. I've done that with my grandmother, told her what to do, told her what to do with my grandfather who is, in a wheelchair, what would be the best scenario for them? What should they do in that? That's just something as we do as men, is protect our loved ones. And part of the ways our founding fathers knew we could do that is with the Second Amendment. I want crime to be punished. I want gun violence to be punished. I don't want criminals to get guns, but the simple thing is they'll always be able to because there's an illegal black market that sells them.
Yeah.
And that's why it's stupid to take them away from law-abiding citizens. Because all that's going to do is it cause chaos. Or if you're able to take them away from everybody, we're one step closer to a communist government.
And then you only have the government or people in government security that have guns along with illegals. So people like you and me who've never, just randomly shot anybody or thought about it, who just want to use it to either sport shoot, even just at targets for fun or to defend ourselves, whatever, we get our guns taken away. But the illegals and the government still have guns. That's not the way you want. Trust me, that's not what you want to happen.
No. You could ask North Korea. You can ask China.
Venezuela.
It doesn't end well, socialism or communism. I think they're the same sides of the same coin. Honestly, it's funny how when history goes, people try to change something. I was reading the other day how liberal used to be a demeaning term in Congress, so that's why they started calling themselves socialist in the past couple of years, and then now they're going back to liberal. Terms change because people think of them negatively, and so you try to butter up the same crap cake as a new chocolate cake. But the truth is, it's still a crap cake. And that's what I feel like with Kamala Harris and her VP pick. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with the VP pick? Because, I mean, we still got a bit more time.
I mean, not really. I think I laid it all out there. I just think that he really is her being the most voted, most liberal, or no, not even liberal, most left senator left of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren.
Bernie Sanders, who's a self-proclaimed socialist, right?
Yeah, socialist, and calls himself democratic socialist, but that's not a thing because you're either socialist or
you're not.
But it makes it sound better. But that, I mean, Tim Walz is a perfect pick for somebody like her because they go hand in hand. They want the same things. He's,
I never understand it. You always have people in government wanting to push socialism because they're never the ones that are upset about it. Look, I would love for everybody to get a free start in life, an equal start in life, same money for that would be nice. I would love to get paid as much as a doctor. I'm a farmer, dude. I'm self-employed. Do you know how much money I don't have right now? Yeah, I would love it, but I understand you get what you work for. Life ain't fair. And when you start trying to make everybody equal in that sense, we're all equal human beings. Graves is no better than I or I him. Graves is not better than his mom or his mom better than him. Me with my father, me with my grandmother, so on and so on. We're not better than anybody. We're all equal. But that's different than being socialist equal. Socialist equal takes everything away from you, so you're equal. You're not really. You're just giving all this stuff to the government. The government controls your lives. And trust me, if you go look at all the communist socialist experiments, they've all failed miserably. And the ones that are successful, go look at how the government treats their people.
Mm-hmm.
They are treated like second-rate citizens in their own country.
By the way, the Nordic countries that everybody always talks about that, they're socialists. They have free healthcare and free school, and they're ranked happier, and they have more economic freedom. No, they are not socialist countries. They have a free economy just like we do. It's a market-based free economy, free trade. They have free healthcare and free schools, yeah. But you know how many people they have in their country compared to us? Like, you can put all of them together and they don't even come close to our population. You can't do that for a country that's our size, or, they'll be like, well, look at China. I don't want to look. I don't want to be China.
I don't want to look at China, man. That seems
I don't
sketchy.
want to be China.
I'm still mad at Mississippi for not passing a bill to stop letting China buy land up here.
Yeah,
that's a whole episode because that pissed me off because that actually slipped by me this session, which shocked me because I was covering it pretty well, but they slid it through there.
They bought a lot of land, just around the country. I know Texas and Florida both passed a law, maybe some other states too, but I know those two at least passed a law. Not
Texas, I think, passed the biggest one where it was like all your land that you own is our land. Like Texas said no, and then kicked off the rest of the countries that had been buying land. Texas said, I think only United States citizens can buy land now in Texas.
Well, that's the way it should be anyway. To be honest,
anyway, I don't like the fact that Bill Gates owned land in Mississippi. Why do you need land here? Well, I've never seen you here, but
he's got like over 1,000 acres of Mississippi land, and I don't want you to be making your chemical bugs and shit. I don't
want that here.
His processed, not even processed, just like 3D printed meat. I don't want to eat that.
Yeah, no, all that does is try to put Mississippi farmers out of business, which the number one industry in Mississippi is agriculture, by the way. So if we lose that, we're definitely screwed. And I don't want Mississippi to lose its agriculture. I think it keeps us humble, it keeps us honest, and good people. We're farmers. If we were meant to be millionaires, we'd already look like New York. I hate to tell you, and New York don't look so pretty to me. But
no.
That's what they want, Harris and them. Harris is maybe one of the most socialist communist people I've ever seen in my lifetime. And that's saying something. I've seen some doozies. And Harris is honestly, she's dangerous because she's not a public speaker. Me and you talked about this a bit before the show. I wanted to dive into it for a second. She's not a public speaker, but she's dang sure pretty intelligent. She has gotten she's a heartbeat away from the presidency, being the most socialist, far left liberal, and being disliked by the majority of her party. Like, people were turning down VP picks because she was a career killer. That's their words. That's reported their words from the liberal party. The Democrats, they were like, no. It's probably why Gavin Newsom ain't anywhere near the VP pick right now. He's trying to save his own career, which is Gavin Newsom's almost just as bad. But Harris is like the queen of the socialism movement here in America. Bernie's like a little prince nephew, or maybe like an uncle that's trying to kill for the throne, but he can never get it. But
yeah, he's like, what's the one? Prince Harry? No, Harry's here. Prince William.
Yeah, Prince William. Yeah. But that's what they want. She's somehow been smart enough to be disliked by the majority of her party, to not really want to. I guarantee you, she's not what they wanted as a presidential nominee, or Joe Biden would have stepped down at the very beginning. It was the debate that ruined Biden, and he got pressured into it. And Harris kept her hands off the murder weapon, so to speak. And then she was able to jump in. Yeah.
The donors that wouldn't give him money because he was a nominee, they said they would only donate. Now, I'm talking about big donors here.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know people inside the Trump campaign, and, they said they're not going to donate to Democrats unless Joe's out.
Yeah, exactly. And she was able to get Joe out. So I'm giving this as a warning to conservatives, and heck, even you Republicans out there, you rhinos, be careful how you look at Harris. She is deceptively intelligent. I have that feeling. I'm not saying she's the smartest tool in the shed, but she's smart enough to get something that even the liberals are scared of this close to being president, being able to change America history forever.
She will.
And look, Joe Biden was bad, but he was doing far left policy. This is off the map socialism.
Never been seen in America.
Never been seen in American history this bad. And we've had some bad presidents. We've had some very bad politicians.
Like, even FDR was very left, but we're talking about.
Yeah, this is a whole new deal. I want credit for that. That was a good transition, Dick Nabbit. But a very good new deal. But that's why I want to call.
It took me a second.
That's probably the most socialism we've seen in America, and I wouldn't say even it was crazy. So I would say like you liberal leaning a bit. And it was done to get us out of the Great Depression, but it just never stopped. And now here we are almost 100 years after the Great Depression, and his policies are still in effect, actually becoming more government controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think that stuff needs to be mostly repealed. I would have to dive into it a lot more to form an opinion, of course. But I mean, we've seen the damage that has done to America. That after we got out of the Great Depression, that stuff should have been dropped.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. And now we having Harris come up. She ain't giving me full of confidence here. I'm nervous. And so I'm asking all people, believe in Donald Trump, support Donald Trump. But more importantly, like we've talked about in the past, get involved in local and state. Give Trump help. Trump is surrounded by rhinos up there. If you want to get control of the nation back, you first need to get control of your local government and state government. Think about running for office. Think about donating. Think about volunteering or working for a political candidate like you believe in, like Graves. Graves has done phenomenal work for the conservative movement. Start a podcast. Beat me in the numbers. I don't care. It's just time to start taking our country's future seriously, because I'm a young man. I'm 25 years old. Now, to all my college friends, that makes me about old as a 50-year-old in their eyes for some of them little jerks. They think I'm just ancient history. They say I'm growing gray hair, and it's blonde, I promise. But
that's what I'm saying. But I don't know.
Start dyeing it even blacker.
I might have to. Politics is getting to me a little bit up here in the chin area. I'm not gonna lie.
But there's something you can do. Find something you can do. If it's just sharing an episode like this out, I ask you to share for a reason. And I'm making this plea to you. Let's get Trump in office. Don't give up. That anger you felt at the assassination attempt, I saw it. I saw the spark that could light the conservative movement for decades.
I'm scared we're going to lose that.
And I'm scared we're going to lose it. That's why I'm using that picture of the Trump assassination attempt, that one with his fist up that fills me with so much pride to be an American. I'm using that to promote this episode because I'm asking, share this out. Do your part. I don't care what it is, but we all need to help. We all need to only help Trump get elected. But over the next 4 years, let's slowly help him. And let's make sure he has people to replace him, because he only has 4 years. This is a long fight. Kamala Harris, I can never say her first name. Harris has been playing the long game, and she's doing a dead-gum job of doing it. She's a heartbeat away from the presidency, but even if we beat her, you have to be worried that she started to spread this socialist, communist propaganda to these poor people that truly believe, but it will destroy this country. It will destroy our republic.
You already see that part of the Democratic Party that does believe in that stuff, and they truly, really, to their bones, believe it. And I think it's a lot bigger than just, like you said, it's a lot bigger than just getting Trump elected. This isn't about Trump. I think he's a great president. I think all the stuff they've done to him, and he keeps going. It's very admirable, but it's about a lot more than just winning this one election. Mm-hmm. Because what's going to happen 20 years from now if we just say, okay, Trump won, and now we can relax again and not try to change the other stuff? Then what's going to happen 5 years from now after the 2028 election? In 2029, if we get someone like Gavin Newsom or Kamala elected and we haven't changed anything, then it's going to get pretty bad again. Yeah.
There's so many things we need to get our government back on track. And again, Trump can't do it alone, and he can only give us a guiding light. He needs our help. And I'm asking, again, donate to his campaign, work, volunteer, run for office, do something, stand up for conservative values. We've talked about conservative values a lot on this show. If you don't really understand it, that's okay if you're new to politics. I was that person not a year or two ago. I will show you what true conservative values is. We'll have an episode on it. But let's make sure we remember that Trump can't do this alone, and we can't just say we won the battle. That's what we did in 2016. We won the battle. Trump won. And then in 2020, he didn't have any real support. He had a great wave of support, but we let him down. We let them steal the election. And hey, YouTube, I see that you're going to put a block on my video. Don't do that. But that's what I wanted to say. Please, please join the fight to save America. Let's do it together, people. Graves, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Just do your own research. Stop believing what got confetti man over here, but stop believing what the media says. If you're on the left right now, I want you to go and actually look up Project 2025, because guess what? Trump has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single thing. And y'all are using that as your main talking point. And then the fact that Kamala's a woman and she's of, different race than white. Don't let that be the reason you vote for somebody. Because
Just don't vote for someone because of race.
Yeah, I mean, you could have the worst candidate in history, which she probably is. I mean, you're gonna let your emotions vote. That's how countries become Venezuela or, Germany in the 1930s and 40s. Is because you don't do your research. You listen to what you're told instead of actually paying attention. Y'all think you're paying attention, you're not. Believe me, I used to not care. I thought it was funny when Trump ran for president because I was like, there's no way that he would ever, and then I saw what he did as president. I'm still not a registered Republican, by the way, but that's the party that suits me. And I just think that people need to start paying attention more, doing their own research, stop watching the media. CNN's being sued for $1 billion right now. They're probably going to go bankrupt, so y'all won't have that to watch anymore. But
yay!
But that's really it. I just think the media has done a lot of damage to this country, and you need to make your own informed opinion by looking at real policy, not what you're told or by the way someone acts. So,
amen, Graves. Well, thank you for coming on, and always a great episode when you're on. Hopefully, we can have you on again shortly. We'll have to figure out what we're going to talk about, but who knows? We'll probably get something in a week's time at this rate. I mean, oh my gosh,
something may happen tonight. I mean,
let's be honest.
At this rate, it just happens 24/7 now. So
it does. When it rains, it pours. But make sure you check us out on our main platform, Spreaker. We're also on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music and Audible, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. If you want to see the video format of the show and see confetti rundown, hey, you can check us out on Tuesdays on Rumble and YouTube. The confetti's not there. It is. There it is. V for victory, as Winston Churchill would say. Even though I think he did technically an FU, didn't he?
I'm not sure about that one.
I would have to double check. I'm pretty sure he accidentally messed it up and did the English version of FU. But that's okay. We all make mistakes, Churchill. But thank you guys for all supporting us on the Conservative Colonel podcast. Please leave a 5-star review. Share this out. Let's actually try to flood social media with it if we can. And remember, God bless America, and God bless Mississippi.